Years ago, I went through the preacher trainee program here myself. That was a long time ago. And then I moved to Southern California, preached in Indio near Palm Springs for a couple of years, and then moved to Tustin in Orange County, California, where I preached for 16 years. And early on, when I was there in Tustin, they had these big lectureships at what was once known as the Fairview congregation. It's now Orangeview, where Trent comes from in Orange County. And there would be like 500 people come to these lectureships, scads and scabs, 100 young people. And they would have these marquee guest preachers. And they had an old preacher there named Floyd Thompson that a few of you old timers will remember. And he put together a program, and these guest preachers would come. And I remember in one of the first years that I went, there was a lectureship on what elders ought not to do. And it was elders of the local church, and it was based on Ezekiel 34, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel. And I know Reagan preached on that recently, but there are some commonalities between what the shepherds of Israel were doing and what modern elders should not do. Ezekiel 34, for example, in verses 4 and 5 says, "The weak you have not strengthened, the sick you have not healed, the injured you have not bound up, the strayed you have not brought back, the lost you have not sought, and with force and harshness you have ruled them, so they were scattered because there was no shepherd, and they have become food for all the wild beasts." But you have an amazing thing that happens in chapter 34. God essentially says, "You haven't done your job, so I'm going to step in and be my people's shepherd instead." But God would step in and be his people's shepherd in the person of a representative who would come to the earth and be a savior Messiah, a good shepherd in the very best sense. So down in verse 22 of Ezekiel 34, God says, "I will rescue my flock. They shall no longer be a prey, and I will judge between sheep and sheep, and I will set up over them one shepherd, my servant David, and he shall feed them, and be their shepherd. And I, the Lord, will be their God, and my servant David will be prince among them. I am the Lord, I have spoken." You flash forward to the New Testament, and you land on the Gospel according to John chapter 10, and you read beginning with verse 11, and Jesus says, "I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for his sheep. He who is a hired hand and not a shepherd, who does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and flees. The wolf snatches them and scatters them. He flees because he is a hired hand and cares nothing for the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I know my own, and my own know me, just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. And I have other sheep that are not of this fold. I must bring them also. They will listen to my voice. So there will be one flock, one shepherd. For this reason, the Father loves me, because I lay down my life that I might take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. I have authority to lay it down, and I have authority to take it up again. This charge I have received from my Father." So we have a good shepherd who lays down his life for the sheep. And in verses 3 through 4, we have a most amazing thing that is said. To the good shepherd, the gatekeeper opens. The sheep hear his voice, and he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. In a sheepfold, there would be multiple flocks, and a shepherd would come and he would call each sheep personally by name, and that flock would come out one by one as each name is called. And then the shepherd would lead the flock to pasture. And there was this intimate relationship between shepherd and sheep. In this case, a shepherd who's willing to put it all on the line for his sheep, even against wild, ravenous beasts, even lay down his life if need be. In this case, definitely. Why? Because he genuinely cares for the sheep. He's not just a hired hand. He loves his sheep and is willing to die for them. And they know his voice. This is more than an academic exercise, it's relationship. One who lays down his life for you, calls you by name, one by one. You know his voice? You follow him? Can you say these words, as Israel said them of God, of Jesus, your loving shepherd? The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. As we partake of the Lord's Supper this morning, I want you to do two things. I want you to reflect, and I want you to resolve. Reflect on the sacrifice of your shepherd who laid down his life for you. And secondly, resolve to listen more carefully to the shepherd's voice and to follow him whenever he calls you and leads you. He calls you by name to come follow him. Jesus, the loving shepherd, gave his dear life for thee. Tenderly now he's calling, wanderer, come to me. Haste, for without is danger. Come, cries the shepherd blessed. Enter the fold of safety. Enter the place of rest. Lovingly, tenderly calling is he. Wanderer, wanderer, come unto me. Patiently waiting, there standing, I see Jesus, my shepherd divine.